Hello, everybody, and welcome back here by another BSN podcast. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd. Hope everybody's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, June 22nd here today. We are halfway through the week, so we're getting closer and closer to the weekend, which is always a good thing. So a lot to get to today in the podcast. Big night last night. Not a very successful night last night, but a night with a lot of baseball on nonetheless. So you had the Yankees on against the Rays. Tough loss. It was literally a game of inches. It was right on the warning track. Judge hit a absolute, high fly ball that off the bat. I'm sitting there doing the scorebook, and when he hit that ball, I stood up, and I put my hands up in the air like he just did this, and I see Rosarena go back a little bit more, and I'm like, please, just get out of the ballpark. I don't care how, just get out, and then sure enough, Rosarena catches it on the warning track, so a tough loss for the Yankees, but coming out of that loss, sure, you obviously want them to win. You obviously, I was doing it to myself, obviously just playing the what-ifs back in your head of, if he hit this home run, obviously we would have tied the game and so on and so forth. But it was still, this Yankee team continues to show us night in and night out that they're gonna fight, they're gonna battle. They're not gonna go down without a fight. They're not gonna go down in a game, 6-1 and just leave it at 6-1. And Michael Kay made a good point last night. I'm not a huge Michael Kay fan. I don't think he does a very good job, but that's just my opinion. He said last night. He makes a good point. He said in the seventh inning, this game, the story I don't think has been written yet in terms of how the game's going to play out. And sure enough, he was right. Yankees put, Marwin Gonzalez hits a big 2-run home run in the top of the ninth with 2 outs, and then Judge comes up, and that's who you want up in that situation. 2 outs, 1-run game. You want Aaron Judge at the plate. He was about a couple feet away from getting that ball over the wall and it being a 5-5 game, but takeaways from last night's game weren't so much, oh no, we lost, or oh, that stinks. It was that this just shows you how this team is special because they continue to fight until the end. They don't go down without a fight. They continue to battle. They're going to have big at-bats in late games, and they continue to fight and they continue to battle. You're not going to win every single game. That's the reality. Over the course of 162, you're going to lose games. Yes, people, you're going to lose baseball games. You're not going to go 162-0. We're still 15-18, and last night shows us how good this team is because we battled, we fought, we got it to a 1-run game. Last year's team probably goes down 1, 2, 3, probably 2 strikeouts and maybe a pop-up or a ground out to like the second baseman or something to end the game. And you lose 3-0, and it's just another night. Last night, though, you get the runner on early. Even in the Toronto game, we had a runner 90 feet away from home plate. You had a guy on second and third. We didn't get it done, but we put pressure on Toronto. We had a chance to win that game. We didn't do it, but we battled. And we've had some games where we've come back. We lead the league in comeback wins. Even on Monday night, we lost the lead. We end up coming back in the top of the ninth, and we hold it down in the bottom of the ninth. This team fights. This team battles. And even though we lost last night, it just shows you that this team is going to be so hard to beat come October because those are the type of games that you're going to be in. And these are the type of games that the Yankees, they did not win last night, but they definitely can win, and they've showed it. So, tough loss last night, but still, a lot of fight in this team, and a team that you got to still feel great about because of the way they fight and the way they battle all the way until the end. So, Yankees lose last night, Mets lose as well. Tough one for the Mets. Not really much going on there. They lost 8-2. Trevor Williams struggled, the Mets struggled. But the big thing for the Mets is that, seems like all signs are pointing towards Max Scherzer, who came out of his rehab start yesterday, who was okay. He pitched, he threw, 3 1/3, I think, innings, like 65 pitches, said the oblique felt good. He looked pretty good, had like a couple strikeouts. He did allow a home run. I think he had like 2 runs. So it wasn't, the most shutdown performance ever. But coming off an injury, you're not going to be throwing 100% in a minor league game. That means absolutely nothing on your resume. But he comes out of it healthy. That's all Met fans really worry about. And, very well, Mets fans are going to be getting one of their aces back on Sunday. So that took place yesterday as well. All right, so let's get to the topics for today's podcast. We're going to get to Igor Shesterkin. Yes, he won the Vezina Trophy yesterday. The 26-year-old goaltender has won the Vezina Trophy, and another New York Ranger goaltender wins it. Henrik Lundqvist was the last one to win it. And it's kind of funny. I'm saying the last one to win it, and realistically, he was the last goalie we had. So it's funny how the Rangers have had so much success with their goaltending, go from Rittker to Lundqvist to now Igor, and Igor wins the Vezina Trophy. Going to break down his season, give you his stats, and yeah, well-deserved honor for Igor Shesterkin, why this is hopefully, and I believe, the first of many Vezina Trophies for this young goaltender that has had such a good year and is such an up-and-coming rising superstar for this New York Ranger team. So we'll get to that. We're also going to get to Rob Gronkowski. Yes, he announced his retirement again yesterday. Obviously announced it back in 2019. What was it? Was it 2018 or no? 2018, right? And then he took off 2019. Came back for 2020, came back for last season, and he has retired. So there's obviously all sorts of rumors already stirring. Oh, what if, he comes back? If Tom Brady calls him in the middle of the year, he'll come back. Either way, for the time being, Gronk has retired. It seems like it's official. It seems like he's not coming back. I would lean towards he's not coming back just because it takes a toll on your body. I think, he came back that one time to win another one with Brady. I think he's done everything he's needed to do. He won a Super Bowl with Brady. He won multiple New England, won one in Tampa. He has nothing else to prove. He's one of the greatest of all time at the tight end position. Not much else to prove. But he does retire. We'll recap his career and kind of give you thoughts where he lands amongst the top tight ends of all time. We'll also get to the New York Sports Update to finish things off today. Like I said, Yankees' final game of a 3-game set today against the Rays, so a rubber game of a 3-game set. Monty will be on the mound, so Yankees look for the series win. And the Mets will be back in action tonight for a quick 2-game set tonight against the Astros. This is the second game of a quick 2-game set interleague play, so the Mets look to split the 2-game set before heading to Miami to play the Marlins. And if the Mets lose tonight, they get the mini 2-game sweep, but they look to split the 2-game set today against the Astros. And then the Astros, after today, will take a flight to New York and will get ready for a very big game. Very big series, I should say. Not a big game, but a very big 4-game set at Yankee Stadium starting on Thursday against the Yankees. So really looking forward to that series. That's one we've all kind of had circled on our calendar, and especially the fact with both teams being the 2 best teams in the American League, it's going to be fun to watch. So a lot to look forward to here tonight and into the coming days. All right, so that's what I got for the intro. With all that being said, a lot to get to today on the podcast. This is the BSN podcast, and let's get into it. So last night, the NHL had their award ceremonies. Calder Trophy, the Hart Trophy, and the Vezina Trophy, and all these many other trophies were all revealed. So the Rookie of the Year, the MVP, Goaltender of the Year, all that stuff, all this stuff was revealed. Austin Matthews wins the MVP, so he was the MVP. Igor finished third in the MVP voting. So well-deserved for Austin Matthews. There's no surprise that he really got it. I would have been surprised if Igor would have won it. I think you definitely can make a strong case. Igor came in third in the voting. Matthews was obviously first. McDavid was right behind him. And then, obviously, Igor was behind them, and then so on and so forth. You had Johnny Gaudreau. You had Kirill Kaprizov. You had many guys here and there scattered amongst the list of, how many points they got for the MVP. But Igor won the Vezina, and we all kind of saw this coming. This was really no surprise. I think a lot of people saw this coming. A lot of people believe that he should have won it. He did win it. When you're a goaltender and you're in the conversation for the MVP trophy, you're going to be in the conversation definitely for the Vezina, and you're probably most likely going to be the favorite for the Vezina. Now, he did beat out Jose Soros, I believe that's how you pronounce the name, from Nashville, and he also beat out Jacob Markstrom, who is the Flames goaltender. Both guys had very good seasons. Both guys were definitely both guys definitely had very good years, but Igor was the best goaltender in hockey this year, and there's not much else you could say about it. You could say, you could talk about, the fact that, the postseason stuff, but look, he was great this season, and he was awesome all year long. He was the best goaltender in hockey. You could say it was Vasilevsky. It was Igor. Statistics show it, night in, night out, performances. Igor was by far the best goaltender this year in the National Hockey League. And a guy, too, for coming in, this was kind of his first really big season with the Rangers, because he obviously had Henrik Lundqvist. Igor was back up at first with him. And in last season, you had the shortened 56-game COVID season. And, he was good last year. He was definitely good. But this year, without a doubt, he had a year behind Lundqvist, and last year was his first full season. And then now this season, it's like, even, this season it's even like better for him. He played 53 games, was in net a lot more. This was his most played season. Like, he kind of took that third year leap, right? His first year he played 12 games. Second year he played 12 games, started all 12 of them. 2020, 2021, the shortened COVID season, he played 35 games, started 31 of them. And then this year he played 53 games, and he started 52 of them. So his numbers continue to go up in terms of how many games he's played and in terms of, just the consistent playing time that he's had. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to Igor. Like, that's what makes you so, that's what makes him so promising. And that's what makes him such a promising goaltender and a guy that has such a bright future. Because he was able to learn under Henrik Lundqvist, who one of the all-time greats for a year. Then last season was kind of a year, to himself where it was all his net. He was the starter. It was all that stuff. And he kind of learned, what it was like in the NHL. And he had some bumps. He had some up and downs last season. Had a goal allowed of 2.62. His rookie year, he had 2.52. Last season, 2.62. And then this year, he had 2.07. And that's the jump you want to see from a goaltender. That's the jump you want to see from a young player to make that third year leap, right? He was, first season, didn't play much. He obviously, the whole COVID thing shut them down, all that stuff. Second season, played much more. Shortened COVID season, it was a weird year. He was better. Then last season, then this year, you go into this season, and he was even better. First in goal allowed per game. He was third in shutouts. He had 6 of those, and he was first in save percentage at .935 this season, and he was 6th in his win-loss and OT loss record, 36, 13, and 4. So when he was out there, Rangers were winning games. He was making big saves, and even in the postseason, he obviously had the tough postseason to start, where he went into Pittsburgh, had those 2 terrible games, 3 and 4 in Pittsburgh, was able to bounce back. Games 5, 6, and 7, he was much better. Carolina series, he stepped up in a big way, especially on the road in Game 7. Rangers scored a lot, but he also made some big saves in that game. And then even in the Tampa series. I mean, the Rangers, very well, with an average goaltender, probably would have lost Game 6, 6-1. But they were in it. They stayed in it because Igor made some big saves. And you can make the argument, too, the Rangers very well could have lost that series in like 5 games if Igor wasn't out there making big saves. Because even in Game 2 of that series, when Tampa Bay put a lot of pressure on that for the final a minute of that Game 2, when the Rangers were up 3-2, Igor made some big saves in that final minute. If you have an average goaltender back there, that game's probably going to overtime, and you might not take a 2-0 series lead from that. So he made some big saves throughout the postseason. Games 3 and 4 were kind of like his first. Games 3 and 4, your typical struggles on the road. His first game in the postseason on the road, the series is tied 1-1, so games 3 and 4 are pivotal because you can't afford, and hindsight 2020, you can afford falling down 3-1 because the Rangers came back, but in the moment, you got to win at least one of those games. Rangers didn't, and they still won the series. We all know the 3-1 series comeback, but, still, he was great. He stepped up. He showed progress throughout the postseason, and that's what you want to see from a goaltender. That progress throughout the postseason. He got valuable postseason experience this year, and what you saw from Igor in the final 3 games, that Pittsburgh series, all the Carolina series, and all the Tampa series, is what you're going to continue to see come postseason. Is a very good goaltender that keeps his team in games and is a huge part of his team and in the quest of winning a Stanley Cup. And obviously, like I said, postseason success was there. Regular season success was there. Everything lined up for Igor Shesterkin to win the Vezina, and it was well-deserved. And a lot of times this season, the Rangers found themselves in these close games where it was a 2-1 game or 1-0 game. He was third in the National Hockey League with 6 shutouts this year. So he was big in terms of stepping up and making big saves when he needed to make those big saves in big games. And we saw that throughout the course of the postseason. Right? Rangers were down 2-0 going back to the Garden in round 2 against the Hurricanes. He made some big saves in games 3 and 4. Game 6 too. Made some big saves in Game 6, and so has Game 7 as well. Rangers offense put a lot of pressure on that on Antti Raanta, and then the backup goaltender who came in because Raanta got hurt. But Igor made some big saves in that game too to make sure that it was a blowout victory and not something that it was close. It was a close game because of a bad performance from him. No, he stepped up and made those saves. And like I said, throughout the season, there was games where, similar to the postseason, where in the regular season, Rangers would score 2 goals, and they wouldn't get much on net. And Igor would be making all these great saves here and there, And would be making all these big saves, and the Rangers would, be winning 2-0 or 2-1. And, there would be a minute and a half of consistent pressure, and Igor would make a big save after big save, and he would win games. Like, there was a lot of games out there. For sure, there was definitely games where the Rangers picked up Igor, and there was a couple games where, no matter what the teams did, the other team was just a better team and you lost. But that's why he won 36 games this season, because he was such a big piece. And when you see teams, and this is why the Rangers are so built and set up good for the future, is you look at all these teams that are struggling. Oilers struggling in the postseason. You want to know why? Because they didn't have a goaltender. Avalanche and Lightning. The reason all they've lost these games is because of their goaltending. In games 1 and 2, Vasilevsky wasn't good. In game 3, Darcy Kemper was terrible. Right? Look how that went. Avalanche won games 1 and 2. Lightning won game 3. You want to know why? Because the goaltending of the opposing team was bad and their goaltending was better. Goaltending is a massive aspect of winning a hockey game. Sure, you got to score. Sure, your goaltender could be great. He could save 60 shots, and on 60, he could save. There could be 61 shots thrown at him, and he could save 60 of them, and you could still lose 1-0. So you still got to score goals. But goaltending's huge. And you look at the teams in the postseason, and this is, like I said, why the Rangers are so built for the future and have such a bright future. Oilers, they struggled. You want to know why? Goaltending, right? Penguins, Rangers, they struggled because their goaltending was all over the place, right? Same thing with the Hurricanes. Antti Ranta, his confidence went down, after Game 6, going into Game 7, wasn't great, got hurt, put their backup in. Rangers took advantage, right? Good goaltending wins you postseason series. Now, for the Avalanche, it's a little different. Because the Avalanche obviously haven't had great goaltending. Francois has actually stepped up when his name's been called. But they also have gone up against... Their offense is also one of the highest powered offenses. The most powerful offense in the National Hockey League. With McKinnon, Makar, who obviously won the Norris yesterday, well-deserved for him. Adam Fox finished top 5. So that's great accomplishment for Fox. He won it last year. Finished again top 5 in the voting this year. I believe he's the first Ranger to do it since Leach. So you have that. But a lot of offense from the Avalanche. And their goaltending wasn't great, but Kemper stepped up when he needed to. You look at the Stanley Cup too. You look at the Stanley Cup, and you look at the goaltending in that series. It's been games 1 and 2. Goaltending was terrible by Tampa, and the Avalanche took advantage. Game 3, goaltending was terrible by the Avalanche. Lightning took advantage. Game 4 will be tonight in Tampa again at MLE Arena. But that's why the Rangers are so set up. So a well-deserved award for Igor, by far the best goaltender. And when you're in the MVP conversation as a goaltender, you finish top 3, you're going to win the Vezina Trophy. And we've been spoiled as Ranger fans, right? I've witnessed Henrik and Igor. I did not witness Ritker, but I've seen highlights. I hear people talk about him all the time. Name up in the rafters. Special player for the New York Rangers. But to go from Ritker to Lundqvist to Igor is something that you don't see organizations have happen very time. I mean, look at the Devils. Since Brodeur left, and I'm not trying to pick on the Devils because they're our rivals. I'm just using an example. Since Brodeur left, they have not found their goaltender since. Martin Brodeur, one of the greatest, probably maybe the greatest of all time at the goaltending position, was a big key for the Devils in winning some of those Stanley Cups. Maybe the biggest part of it. And since he's left, maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but the Devils really have not found their guy. And right now they're still bouncing back and forth. Is it Mackenzie Blackwood? Is it not Mackenzie Blackwood? It's hard to go for an organization to go from one great to another great to another great. Look at quarterbacks in the NFL. Very rarely do you see organizations go from a great quarterback to another great quarterback to another great quarterback. I use the Denver Broncos as a great example. Peyton Manning retired in 2012? The Broncos have been looking for his replacement ever since. Now, maybe they haven't in Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson's not going to be here not going to be in Denver, rather, for the next decade. He's not going to be in Denver for the next decade. He's in his 30s. He'll probably be there for a couple of seasons, maybe win a championship with them, who knows. But that was more of a win now move. And after he leaves, who's going to be your quarterback then? They've been looking for it forever. So even even in baseball, you look at managers too and coaches. Very rarely do you see an organization go from a great at any position, coach, quarterback, and baseball, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher or a manager or a GM. Even the Patriots. I mean, Tom Brady was there all those years. Who knows what Mac Jones is going to bring, right? And then you have organizations where they cannot find the replacement. It's bad, 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 and that's kind of been the Jets. It's like Sanchez, who towards the end of his career was bad. Then they brought in Tebow, Vic, Geno Smith, Fitzpatrick, Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg, Darnold, Josh McCown, all these quarterbacks, bringing them in, seeing what fits. Hopefully now Zach Wilson's the answer. But the Rangers have been spoiled. And as a Ranger fan, you could truly be proud in saying, although some of these other teams, although Brodeur might be the greatest of all time, Rangers have had some of the greatest success, continued success, probably the greatest continued success, unless if I'm forgetting a team, of goaltending. You go from Ricker to Lundqvist and now to Igor. And that Lundqvist right is to the right of me. You can kind of see it. Got a fat head here. You can kind of see it. But to go from that, all those guys, all those pieces, is pretty special for the New York Rangers. So, well-deserved for Igor. And I'm just trying to think. I'm just sitting here trying to think of different teams. Like, Denver's one of them, like the Broncos. They've gone from Peyton Manning and they haven't had anything at quarterback. I mean, Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, Teddy Bridgewater. There's more in there. There's got to be more. There's more in there. There's Brock Osweiler, right? Brock Osweiler, Drew Lock, everybody. I mean, they name it. They brought in everybody, and they all have stunk for the Broncos. But for the Rangers, that's not the case. And you see some teams. I mean, even you could say the Bills in a way. Now they have Josh Allen, but for a long time there, I don't want to go down the Bills road because after Jim Kelly, I know Fitzpatrick was there for a little bit. I struggle with them. I'm just trying to think of teams like that because the Rangers are one of those rare teams. There's not many teams out there, and when Igor won the Vezina, you just have to sit there and just admire. The Rangers organization have done a fabulous job of their goaltending. And I'm trying to think of a team out there because there's not many teams out there that have had continued success at a certain position. Maybe you could say the Yankees with their managers. Maybe, but, it's, you Torrey, then, Girardi, and then, then now Boone. But Boone, although the Yankees have won 50 games this year still, and obviously, he hasn't really had that success. He hasn't had that great success yet. So just trying to think of teams. Jets definitely not on that list. In terms of coaches, quarterbacks, not on that list. It's tough. It's tough. And that's where you gotta, it's special when you see goaltending this good for this long because it's rare you see this in sports. A lot of times you see like Ritker and then Ritker, Ritker once he's done, it's like, all right, who's going to be our goaltender? Lundqvist steps in and he's great. He's an all-time great. And then once Lundqvist leaves, we all as Ranger fans kind of knew what Igor was going to be. It was all a matter of, him just, living up to that potential and, getting through the growing pains of a young goaltender and all that. And this is his potential right here. This is when he's entering the prime of his career. 26 years old, coming off of by far his best season, continues to build on this. Like I said, I see many Vezina trophies in his future. This is just one of hopefully and most likely many Vezina trophies. So, like I said, this season, 53 games played, 52 of them were started. And to give you his stats, 36, 13, and 4, that was 6th in the National Hockey League. 2.07 goals allowed per game. This is regular season, by the way. Or season stats. 1st in the National Hockey League. Save percentage, .935, 1st in the National Hockey League. And he had 6 shutouts, and that was 3rd in the National Hockey League. So, pretty wild. He made 1,000. I always find this pretty cool. He made 1,516 saves this season. So that's a lot of saves. By far the most in his career. 6 shutouts. That's the most in his entire career. Going into this season, he had 2 shutouts, of course, of the course of his first 2 seasons. None in 2019-2020, 2 in 2020-2021, and this year he had 6. Now, 2019-2020, he only played 12 games because he was still behind Lundqvist. But last season, and then obviously this year, even better. And you look at his career stats, he is 62, 29, and 7. So he's won a lot of games, and his career goals allowed per game is 2.31. So that definitely drops with the 2.07 goals allowed per game this season. And look at the stats: first in goals allowed per game, third in shutouts, sixth in wins, and win-loss record, and then save percentage was first. You look at the numbers; he was the best goaltender in all of hockey this year, and well-deserved honor there. So so I'm just gonna record read this quick article here. So the New York Rangers star Igor Shesterkin has won the 2021-2022 Vezina Trophy as the NHL's best goaltender, beating out Jose Saros of the Predators and Jacob Markstrom of the Flames for the honor. 26-year-old becomes the third goaltender in Rangers history to win the award, joining Henrik Lundqvist, John Vanderbroek, and Lundqvist was the last to win the award for the franchise in 2012. The news comes as little surprise as the third-year netminder dominated play and led the Rangers to a second-place finish in the Metro. These are all of his stats. I'm not going to read all those just because I just did. In addition, the Russian record recorded 866 high danger save percentage at even strength, which ranks second behind New York Islanders netminder Ilya Sorokin. The Rangers selected Igor in the fourth round of the 2014 NHL draft. He spent the 2019-2020 season as a backup and emerged as the team starter during the 2020-2021 season, posting a 16-14-3 record in 35 games, 31 of those being the starts. With the Vezina to his name, Shesterkin will be due for a significant extension after the 2024-2025 season. He's currently on a 4-year, $22.6 million deal that he signed before the 2021-2022 season, making $5.6 million per year. So, a lot of money coming his way, and rightfully so. He deserves it, and a big, big season for Igor. All right, so that's what I got for Igor Shesterkin and the Vezina Trophy winner. Obviously, a great award for him, and gives us a little bit more to celebrate as Ranger fans, despite not getting to the Cup. But future's bright. Future is bright for the Rangers, and that's what I think is so pivotal. Now, you can never sit here and say, oh, they're going to be back. There's a guarantee. You can't say that, because there's a lot of teams out there where a lot of great teams out there where a lot of people thought, or the beginning of what people thought were great teams, and they never turned out to be anything. I mean, a lot of people thought that 2017 Yankee team was the start of a dynasty, and the Yankees haven't been to a World Series since 2009. They thought that was it, getting to the ALCS that year, and they're great this season, but they haven't had much success prior to this season in terms of getting deep into the postseason. And you look at, the Bills. You go back to that 90s Bills team all the time. That's a team where a lot of people thought was going to win so many championships. They got there 4 times. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to win at least one of them. Never won one of them. So you can never sit here and say, all right, that's why I don't like the saying, oh, playing with house money, or, oh, just go all in. You're going to be back, do all this. Now, when you get an opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. But, the expectation is for the Rangers to be back and to win and to be a great team for many years to come. It's all about bringing the right pieces, though, and making sure that you do actually do that. Because there's a lot of teams out there, there's a lot of front offices at times where, you see, a team gets, a team has a great season, and then it kind of just, everyone's like, oh, this is the start of something special, and it kind of just dwindles out. It's like, where did that go? So this Ranger team has to just make sure that they keep, bringing the right pieces, continue to do what they do, and build this strong team. Because they got a goaltender. It's all about building around their goaltender and making sure that they lift him and get him to the ultimate goal of winning a Stanley Cup. So that's what I got for Igor winning the Vezina. And now we're going to get to another topic here surrounding another player. So Rob Gronkowski has announced his retirement from the NFL. Now, this might sound like something that has happened before, but it might sound like something that has happened before, but it looks like this time it seems as if it's happening for sure, but who knows? I mean, it's interesting because you're going to hear all these articles that say, oh, if Tom Brady calls Gronk, he'll come back in the middle of the year. But Rob Gronkowski, one of the all-time greats at the tight end position, retires from the NFL after an 11-year career with the Patriots, and now add on those 2 more years with the Buccaneers. And, now, as we all know, Gronk retired in, 2018. So he missed all the 2019 season, right? I think that's how it goes, because then he came back that 2020 season, signed with the Bucs, plays with Brady, they win a championship. Last season, don't win. And I think that was Gronk's plan all along, right? And I just want to make this clear first. I do not see a world where Rob Gronkowski comes back. Now, would I be surprised? Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised, but would I be surprised? Yeah, I would be. But I would be surprised, but it's also to the point where it's like I don't see it happening whatsoever, because I just don't. I don't see why he would retire to then just let me come back. He's done what he's needed to do. Rob Gronkowski has had an excellent career. He went to he got, drafted by New England, went to New England, won many Super Bowls there. 4-time Super Bowl champ, 3 with New England, 1 more with the Bucs in 2020. He did what he wanted to accomplish. He played with Brady his entire career. Brady went to Tampa. Gronk said, all right, I'll tag along. Let's win one in Tampa. He did that. Last season, I think, was just let's see how many we can win. They didn't win it last year. And Gronk, obviously, look, it's taken a toll on his body. 11 years. He's had an injury history. It's time to hang up the cleats if you're Rob Gronkowski. And that's why I don't see him coming back. But a great career nonetheless for Rob Gronkowski. And goes down as one of the all-time greats at the tight end position. And look, when he was healthy, and him and Brady were on the same page, both of them, while they were in New England, throughout those Super Bowl winning years, there was, in terms of just a guy and what he opposes just as his physical attributes, not even what he does on the field in terms of catching, running, just what he brings to the table in terms of his physical attributes before the play even happens is what made him so dominant. He was such a dominant force. When he was in his prime, when he was prior to some of his back issues that he had, he would carry guys. I would remember, he would take 3 guys with him. He was like the Marshawn Lynch at the tight end spot. He would take 3 guys with him up the field before somebody had to jump on top of him and take him down. That's how dominant of a force he was. And that's also kind of correlates into why it's this is kind of why it's probably it for him, because it's taken a toll on his body. He'd have 4 guys on him trying to bring him down, and he would just want to go down because that's how much he brings to the table in terms of his physicality and just his looks. He's just this big, giant dude that just is running over people. And he was extremely athletic. And him and Brady would connect all the time. And I always said that. Big-time postseason performer. Big in big spots. He was a big stat guy, too. He was a guy that, he made those tough he made those tough plays where he was okay taking the hit. The amount of hits this guy's taken throughout his career, I'd love for them to tally up. And I'm sure if you actually sat there and watched back every single one of Gronk's games, you probably could find out how many people it took. I love how many hits he's taken over the years, because he's taken a lot of hits. Because when he was out there, like I said, in his prime, it'd take 4 or 5 guys. And I really mean that. We'll look back the highlights. He'd just be dragging guys with him upfield. And one thing about Gronk, too, is like I said, he was that guy that was okay with taking that big hit. That was okay with, getting that, he was kind of, because sometimes you have those receivers, and this is what makes Gronk so special. Might separate him amongst some of the other tight ends. There's a lot of times sometimes you get these receivers that they'll run deep every play, or they'll run across the middle, or they'll do something like that, like any type of route, and they'll run deep all of a sudden. And it's funny because for Gronk, it's he'll run deep, like some receivers will run deep and they'll kind of avoid the big contact. And, especially sometimes when they get big, when they get paid a lot, they're like, all right, I'm going to run deep. I'm not going to take the big contact. I'm not going to make the tough catches across the middle. Gronk was never that guy. Even when he got his big payday, even when he was, towards the end of his career, he was always that guy that Brady could rely on. While his receivers were on the outside, whether it was a comeback route or, the deep route, Brady could always rely on Gronk making those tough, contested catches in the middle of the field where you have like three guys around you and you're going to take a hit. And Gronk did that so well and probably did that some of the best out of any other tight end. Now, Shannon Sharp, one of the greatest. Tony Gonzalez, one of the greatest. Gronk, one of the greatest. Travis Kelce will go down as probably one of the greatest once his career is over with. Those are kind of your core guys that were awesome, great tight ends that had excellent careers and made those tough catches, were physical, brought all those different attributes to the field. And Gronk brought that every single day. So, great career for him. I don't like the narrative either because there's a lot of people out there that say, Tom Brady was, the reason Gronk was great because Tom Brady. No, Gronk was a big reason why Tom Brady was so great too. You don't know how good, and this is like, and that's why Gronk was such a special player, because you don't know how much a tight end, and that's why I feel like in a way Gronk's career sometimes, I liked Gronk. I really liked Gronk. He was one of my favorite Patriots. I always thought, his humor, he was funny. I've always liked his the way he carries himself. He carries himself as being that kind of like dumb guy. Not trying to be mean, but you know what I'm talking about. To the people out there that know Gronk and stuff like that, but he comes across as kind of that like dumb, funny guy that doesn't seem to take anything seriously. But when he's out there, when you hear from former players, like he's serious when he's out there. Like he wants to win. Like game week preparation. Like when cameras are on him, he behind the scenes he's very serious. He's serious. He gets his work done. He does what he needs to do to get ready for games. During the game, he is in it. He's into it. On the sideline, he might be goofing around. But when he's in the game, he's very serious. And when he's on camera, he's kind of that goofy, dumb guy. But he's a very smart guy. And I actually heard Colin Cowherd talk about Gronk the other day. And like I said, I have no personal connection to Gronk. I've never had one conversation with him. I've never even met the guy. Never been to a Jet Patriot game, so I can't even say that I've been in the same building as Gronk, or same stadium as Gronk. But the one thing I wanted to say was yesterday I was listening to Colin Cowherd and Colin Cowherd, and he was talking about the breaking news came across, and they were talking about Gronk and stuff, and he was saying when he worked at Fox Sports, because when he first retired, he started to work at Fox Sports as a, I think he did like pre-game show on NFL Today. Was it NFL Today, I think, or something like that, or it was something with the football. And he would even say, like, in terms of even just preparing for a show, like, he was, he was smart. He did what he needed to do to prepare for the show. When he was on the show, he might act goofy and be, kind of bring the humor to it. But he did what he needed to do. And that's what makes successful players. When, you just grind and when you just grind and you just have success throughout your career and you go through the routines and stuff. And Gronk did that. And that's what made him such a special player for the 11 years that he was in the NFL, 9 with New England, and obviously 2 more with the Bucs these past 2 seasons. So, great career for him. And like I said, I definitely falls top 10. Not top 10, I apologize. Top 5, top 3. Definitely top 10, no doubt about it. Amongst tight ends, Gronk, if you got Gronk out of your top 10 in must tight ends, you are way out of the ballpark. Because there's a lot of great tight ends out there, and Gronk's truly one of the greatest. 4-time Super Bowl champ, 4-time first team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowl selection, 92 receiving touchdowns. That's third most by a tight end, and most 100+ receiving yard games by any tight end that's ever touched an NFL field. He's at 32, 100+ receiving yard games. So that is something special. So third most in tight end and 92 receiving touchdowns, and first amongst tight end. Those are 2 top 3 categories. He's a top 3 guy by far. Where I Not going to say if he's one. He's definitely the greatest. I would probably say he's one or two. Shannon Sharpe, Tony Gonzalez, Gronk are all in that conversation of kind of those three guys. There's also another guy that I'm probably forgetting, and I know who I'm forgetting. I forget his name, but there's another guy that has been brought up when people have been talking about over the course of yesterday and into today about the greatest tight ends ever. There was another guy that was brought up, and I forget his name, and I apologize for it. But another guy, too, that is in that conversation. But Gronk's definitely 1, 2, or 3. I think he's 1 or 2 amongst the greatest tight ends of all time, especially just how dominant. It wasn't even some of the things, too, like not even just some of the things he did in terms of stats, some of the blocking, like the holes he would create, like just the physical nature of what he did week in and week out was not many other guys can do that. That's what made him so special. So Rob Gronkowski retires from the NFL after an 11-year career with the Patriots and the Buccaneers. So Rob Gronkowski is retiring from the NFL again. Yes, this is again. So the 2020-year-old who came out of his 2019 retirement to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the 2020 and 2021 campaign announced Tuesday that he will retire. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long, long thing. But it is on his Twitter account. It is Rob Gronkowski if you want to find it. I'm sure if you Google it too, Rob Gronkowski retirement message or whatever, if you want to read it, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a long, it's like a whole, that's probably good for, it's probably like a whole 3 paragraphs, so I'm not going to read it all. It's, the usual stuff. I read it yesterday. It's the usual stuff, thanking everybody. It's kind of funny because, Tom Brady, when he retired or left the Patriots, he kind of, thanked the Patriots, right? Then that was kind of like his retirement in New England. Then he retired with the Bucs and thanked a lot of the Bucs. Now he obviously came out of on retirement, so it doesn't even really matter. But it's like when Gronk retired, that was like his retirement from the Patriots, and now with him retiring from the Bucs, it's his retirement from the Bucs. It's like he had a separate retirement for New England, separate retirement for Tampa. That's kind of how it is. But like I said, I just don't know, especially with his injury history, and he's now 33 years old. I just don't know if he is going to actually come out of retirement again and play with Brady. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. Especially, he's going to have a lot of jobs lined up for him. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's won 4 Super Bowls, a top 3 tight end of all time. When he retired the first time, got a job quickly at Fox Sports to cover football. He's going to get a media job. His I don't know what the word I'm looking for. His personality, rather. That's the word I'm looking for. Found it. His personality is built for television. Like, funny, humorous, keeps people engaged. So he's probably going to get a TV job somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be announcing games or what it's going to be. Probably I could see him back in Fox Sports or something. But I just don't see him coming back, especially with the toll it takes on your body. And he did what he wanted to do. He won 3 with Brady, and then he wanted to go to the Bucs and win 1 more with Brady on a separate team. He did it in Tampa. And he's retiring in the warm weather in Tampa. So he's set. He's got a ton of money. He can go pursue a TV job now and enjoy life. I mean, he's got the personality to do it, so that's really where I see him going. But I could be wrong. I mean, I was probably wrong the first time because I usually... Brady didn't really surprise me much. It surprised me a little bit, but it's Brady after all. You don't know what that guy's gonna do. But I would be surprised if Gronk actually left. But it is at the end of the day, it is Gronk. He's really, he's close with Brady. Brady unretired. It would be fun. It would create a lot of storylines if he actually came back. Jordan Fultz first reported the news, and yeah, so. A lot of stuff, and, while the Buccaneers, the next stop for Gronkowski is the Pro Football Hall of Fame, without a doubt. A lot of this stuff is kind of what I've already mentioned in terms of his career accolades. But yeah, his great career, and a guy that definitely, brought a lot to the table during his time in Tampa and New England. So, retires again. If he comes out of retirement and retires again, well, then that will happen. But I think this is probably it for Gronk. But you never know with these guys sometimes. Sometimes these guys they retire, come back, retire again, come back. Who knows? It's interesting. But I think this is most likely it for Gronk. And if it is, great career, and definitely one of the greatest to ever do it at the tight end position. All right, so let's get to the New York Sports Update, NHL, and the rest of baseball. So Game 4 tonight between the Avalanche and the Lightning, 8 p.m. Eastern. Avalanche, Lightning. Avalanche coming to tonight's game 2-1. Lightning coming to this game down 2-1. Game 4, so big game, big game. Avalanche win tonight. They go back to Denver with a 3-1 lead. That's pretty big. Lightning win tonight. Well, now the series is right back up in the air because then that puts all the pressure on Colorado to win Game 5 because they can't go back down to Tampa in Game 6 down 3-2. So big swing game tonight in the series. Now, I got a couple day baseball games on today as it's Wednesday, so, middle of the week getaway day for some of these teams ending series. You got the White Sox, Blue Jays, Phillies, Rangers, Diamondbacks, Padres, Dodgers, Reds, Rockies, Marlins, Cubs, Pirates, Nationals, Orioles, Red Sox, Tigers, Braves, Giants, Twins, Guardians, Brewers, Cardinals, A's, Mariners, and Angels, Royals. Mets also today, Mets against the Astros. This is an early start, 2:10 Eastern. MLB Network you could also find on SNY. So an early start today, final game of a quick 2-game interleague set. Mets are 45-25, Astros 42-25. Mets got Cookie Carrasco on the mound. He's 8-2 with a 3.96 ERA. And the Astros got Luis Garcia on the mound. He's 4-5 with a 3.41 ERA. Over/under is set at 8. Yankees, Rays tonight. Yankees come into tonight's game 15-18. Rays come into tonight's game 37-31. The rubber game of a 3-game set. So Yankees looking for the series win. 7:10 p.m. Eastern MLB Network. And you can also find out, Jordan Montgomery's on the mound for the Yankees. He's 3-1 with 2.73 ERA. And Shane Baz is on the mound for the Rays. 0-1 with a 5.40 ERA. Over/under set at 7. And as for fantasy football or fantasy baseball, let's get this up here. In my main league, I'm winning 107-97, and in my non-main league, I am winning 84-26. And I've got Carlos Rodon, Adam Wainwright, Eric Lauer going in that league. And in this league, I got Carlos Rodon and Tariq Skubal in my main league. So, looking for another big day in fantasy baseball. And, that will do it for the podcast here today. Another good podcast in the books. And, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.